So this is Paul and Andy's podcast. It's Grey Matters. I'm Paul Leather and
I'm Andy Brea.
And Andy, I asked you to do a sound check just now. I just wondered if you'd reprise that for us before we kick off.
God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference.
That's a very, very good prayer. Where's that from?
I don't know. You tell me. You know,
I think it's St Gregory or somebody like that.
I think you could be right. I only know it from a very long time ago. I was reading a book by Kurt Vonnegut called Slaughterhouse-Five.
That sounds nice.
No, it's a really good book.
Bedtime reading, isn't it?
No, it's not a horror book or anything like that. And it's quoted in that book, and it really resonated with me when I read it. I must have been about 18 when I read it. And I thought, yeah, that's a really good piece of advice, because, you know, it's, you know, please help me to do what I can, but also to know when I can't do anything about anything. And that's quite an important distinction in life, because we go through things worrying about stuff so much. And later in life, going to an AA meeting, you know, you find out that's the serenity prayer they do at the end of every AA meeting.
Right.
So it was weird, because it was a quote I already knew from literature rather than any biblical thing. And it's sort of come full circle, and I still think it's obviously incredibly relevant to life, isn't it? Yeah.
And it is a prayer, obviously, because it says the very first word is God.
Yeah.
Which we'll explore in later podcasts, because, you know, you and I both have talked about faith, and it is intrinsic to both our lives in different ways, different journeys and stuff. I've got quite a lot of things to talk to you about, and they're not all moaning, you'll be pleased to know, because usually we start with a rant, don't we?
Yes, yeah.
And I've got really very little to rant about. I've got a lot to be pleased about, although I did have a catalogue of things go wrong recently. All the appliances that you can think of off the top of your head, apart from a television, broke in the space of 7 days. Might be funny to you.
No, it's just the way that things go. Because the last time I saw you, you were you're at your house, and you were waiting for a man to come and look at your boiler.
Yes, yeah. He came back and looked at the boiler another time, and then another man came and looked at the boiler before it was fixed. So we do now have hot water, but it's a bit like Trigger's broom. I think the boiler is so old; it's an old oil burner. We're not connected to the gas for some reason, and like Trigger's broom in Only Fools and Horses, he said, I've had this broom for 15 years and only replaced the brush 3 times and the handle twice.
Yeah.
So I think the boiler's been completely rebuilt. But mercifully, we do have hot water, so that was one good thing. We haven't had the bill yet, so goodness knows what that's going to be. Yeah. But hopefully still cheaper than a new boiler.
Yeah.
But then the coffee maker started to leak water however everywhere, and I've had the top off that before.
Yeah.
And it's like a new car. You can't do anything.
No.
You could probably get an angle grinder to it and cut the bits out you did. And by the time you'd ordered the parts, you can buy a new one. It's built-in obsolescence, isn't it?
Yes,
that's what they call it. They build them not to last, and we've had this one 3 years, I think, 3 or 4 years. It soon mounts up, doesn't it? Because I think we bought it in COVID. And how long ago was COVID?
3 years ago. 4 years ago.
See,
2020.
For it. You don't go. Yeah, it was.
Well, it came and went, didn't it? It came back again.
Yeah, it did. Didn't it? Oh,
yeah.
It's amazing to believe it ever happened at all. Really, when you start to think we used to have to stay at home. You must stay at home, said Boris.
But looking back, I'm amazed that people did. And what amazes me is I look back with a feeling of how gullible we were during COVID. I mean, I know COVID was a serious thing and it killed people, but no more than annual flu. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I'd have to delve into the science and the statistics.
Yeah, well, so would I. But it's just, I don't know, I just get the feeling now. I think it was a huge learning curve for the British public.
I should say so. And the medical profession and government.
If anybody from the government said we need you to stay at home, people would just completely ignore them now.
No, it was extraordinary, and I think we were slightly
fearful. Do you remember the queues around supermarket car parks, and there was like one in, one out?
People walking around with 25 boxes of toilet roll because they thought it might run out.
It just feels like it was another life almost.
It was. It was another life.
Yeah.
So we've had the coffee machine since another life. And then the washing machine broke up.
Oh, no.
Now, we've had that for 12 years. In fact, it broke within the first 2 weeks, which was a common fault, even though it's a very good brand, Bosch. It's a very good brand,
yes.
And we were very happy with it. They came and replaced the drum, had to be replaced.
Mm.
And there's no problem at all ever since, apart from the same week that everything else broke, and it broke. So still under what we bought 3 washing machines, the amount of money we've spent on the insurance thing, but nevertheless they've come out, they fixed it, so that's great news. Back with clean clothes again, you'll be pleased to know. And then I literally was saying to Molly, my older daughter, I do love our fridge freezer at this time of year. It's a really nice American style fridge freezer, you know. And I said, I love the fact you put your company dispenses ice. It must have been listening,
yes.
Or there was a demon or something around going, because the next morning it stopped making ice, it broke, and there was a pool of water on the floor.
Oh, no.
Unbelievable. So we had somebody come out a long way from Liscard, I think it was, to kind of sort of a woman with tattoos, and she poked around a bit, but obviously didn't really know what she was doing.
Right.
Made some inquiries and said, you could have a new freezer door. They might not do that under the insurance. The new freezer door, surely it's just a pipe, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, no, it's just in a... Anyway, she said they'll probably write it off and send you a new fridge freezer. I said, it's only 3 years old. I'm not having that. I demand it's repaired. Anyway, she made some inquiries and said, I'm very sorry, we'll give you your money back for the insurance policy you took out. We won't fix it. That's where it is. And Helen, the tenacious terrier that she is, she's been poking around the internet and then poking around the fridge freezer.
Yeah.
And there was indeed, she found the pipe that was leaking.
Right.
She's pulled it apart and stuck it back in again, and it seems to be properly located now. So whether the Hoover or broom or something like that knocked it because it's right underneath the... Anyway, it seems to be okay.
Oh, good for you.
So I'll keep you posted on that.
Oh, well done, Helen.
So that was my story. She's brilliant. That was my story of of cataclysmic events happening one after another, to the extent that you just start to laugh, don't you?
Yeah, I've not had one of them. I've just said it, haven't I? I was going to say I've not had something like that happen for a very long time. However, the other day I had a win where I got into the car and turned the key and click, 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 click. And I thought, well, the battery can't be dead because I've been driving this around. Yeah, the day before I'd been driving it around. And
it wasn't a castanet player in the back seat, was it?
No, it wasn't down.
Got a back seat.
No. And so I thought, well, this is crazy. I've only had this battery a couple of years because I had to get it replaced a couple of years ago. So I phoned up the AA and they came out and did all their tests and everything, and they said, oh yeah, you need a new battery. And I thought, oh gosh, here we go, that's £100 straight away, isn't it? But this one's still under warranty, so we'll give you another one for nothing. So I got a brand new battery for £0.
Well, it was a battery that failed then, was it?
Yeah, it must have been a battery that failed. I don't know. But
did they give you the same make, or?
Yes, it was like for like, which is rather foolish, isn't it? But and then I kind of got thinking, we've got electric cars now. They've got these huge batteries in and make them weigh 3 times as much as a normal car. But why aren't ordinary car batteries really small? Because everything else has shrunk, hasn't it, in recent years?
I don't know what you're talking about.
They're the same size as they were 40 years ago. Car batteries are big, heavy things, right?
They are.
I've got a power bank that I take out to charge my phone up when no electricity is, that's, the size of a, I don't know, cigarette packet. Yeah. And it's got loads of
I've not
life
thought
in
of that.
it.
I suppose it's different technology because it's those are lithium-ion batteries, aren't they? Whereas it's lead batteries, aren't they?
Well, I don't know, but somebody must be able to, surely you just need the initial burst of power to spark the engine, to spark spark plugs to start the engine, to turn the engine over. And I'm just wondering why we haven't got really small car batteries now that are A lot cheaper, B a lot lighter, and that would increase fuel efficiency. Why that hasn't.
You make a very good point, sir.
I just tried.
Maybe our podcast listener.
Yes.
Well, we know we've got 2. our podcast listeners will write in with an answer.
Well,
which dovetails or segues neatly on to the fact that we were going to knock this on the head. The last time we met was in Kingsbridge.
It was.
We had decided there wasn't enough wind to go for a sail.
It was beautiful.
Although there was.
Well,
and we ended up having a very nice lunch together.
Did, yeah.
Modest, I think it was £7.50.
Yeah.
So I don't want people out there thinking, oh, they're just, lovely.
No, we just had a nice
we scrimp and save and go for it.
sandwich.
We did. Anyway, I think I said to you, look, I'm not sure why we're doing this. So we did it as a bit of fun and get things off our chest. And if we're not really achieving anything and people aren't listening, well, of course, part of the problem is that we've not publicised it anywhere at all.
No.
We've told a few friends, but that's it. However, that evening, you tell me what happened.
Well, we had this conversation and Paul said to me, well, have a think about it and see what you want to do. And I came away thinking, yeah, well, he's got a point, We had a nice write-up in Paul's local paper.
Well, it was all over Devon.
Yeah, all over Devon. So I was driving back thinking about this and just thought, well, I'll give it some thought, and I quite enjoy recording these.
Well, that's nice.
If nothing else, it's a great excuse to see you, because we live quite a long way apart.
Miles.
Well, no, I mean we do. We're only down the road from each other. So, it's a good excuse to get together and have a natter. And I know that you treat these as an unpaid counselling session for yourself. That hasn't escaped me, Paul. Don't worry. So I was thinking,
Get to the point.
Am I just being a mug here,
Yeah.
So I went to my meeting that evening of AA.
Yeah.
And this lady came up to me, and I recognised her as somebody who, didn't usually come to our meeting, and I thought, well, she's obviously a newcomer here at the meeting, and she said, the only reason I'm here is because of your podcast. And I looked at her as if she was joking. I thought, this is something you've engineered this, and I said, really? And she went, yeah, I listened to your podcast. And you and Paul were talking about addiction. He was talking about bipolar, and you were talking about alcohol addiction. And I went, right, okay. So what did you? She said, I just thought it was really, really interesting. And the reason why I'm here is that you said something about doing it for yourself rather than anybody else. Giving up alcohol. Don't do it for your mum or your wife, your husband, or your daughter, or your son. Do it for yourself. And she said, she said, I had a light bulb moment, and that's what I'm doing here.
That's wonderful.
And she's been back.
What was so extraordinary was the timing.
I
Literally,
know, it was
several hours later.
That's why I thought you'd engineered it. I said, this can't be coincidence.
Well, there is
You've obviously rung this woman up and said, just go to this meeting.
There is no such thing
for you.
as coincidence. I don't believe it. I believe that...
Well, neither do I.
I use the word God incidents. Things happen for a reason. And I said to you, didn't I? I sent you a message and I said, if there's just one reason to keep going with the podcast, it's to reach this lady and her husband, who I don't know how they reached us, but we will make more effort to do more meaningful stuff, and we'll put ourselves out there. And who knows, one day we may even have a radio show just like you used to have.
Yes.
Stranger things have happened, Andy.
Well, yes, I know, but that would be good. I'd look forward to that.
And that would be really funny, because of all the things I ever wanted to do in radio and never pushed myself into it, was not to have my own show, but I love being on, and I would often go on and do bits and pieces, and I love it because I like talking and I like connecting with people. So it would be very funny if we did get the opportunity. But watch this space. It's funny, this chimes with a story I haven't told you yet, which I love sailing, as you know. You've been out on my little dinghy, and I'd love to have a bigger boat, and I've thought about buying a yacht, but it's just so expensive and burns up a lot of time. But you never know when an opportunity is going to arise. So since I've seen you, I've had a lovely sailing holiday with my brother on a yacht to celebrate his 60th birthday. He paid for the first week, and the rest of the gang, there was about 4 of his friends, we all paid for the second. So it was quite economical. And we travelled up in his van together, which gets very good miles per gallon. So it only cost us £75 to get to Scotland and back each. So it was, it was like a lovely yachting holiday in Scotland, in the Hebrides, that I never expected to have. Last year he started putting it together, and I just thought, if I was still constantly working, I couldn't have taken the time off. So it all fitted into place. The other day, I'm paddleboarding with my daughter's boyfriend, trying to build bridges with him just in case, Yeah. And so we're paddleboarding around the estuary, and I see somebody kind of in a very nice, what was it, a Trascombe lugger. What do they call it? Trascombe lugger. That's
doesn't mean anything to me.
Well, it's got a mizzen mast. It's a wooden boat. It's about 18, 20 foot long, I think. And so traditional boat of the area with masts. Anyway, there are 2 or 3 people on it clinging to another boat. And I said, so I paddled up in my chirpy Cockney way. I said, gin and tonic, anybody? She said, yes, please, we're completely stumped here. Wasn't exactly the words she used. But the lady and there was another lady and a gentleman on board. It turns out the outboard had gone, a little outboard to get them out so they could go sailing. And it wasn't working at all. We got weed around it. I had a look, I couldn't see anything. And I said, I'm really sorry. Where do you want to get it to? She said, well, we keep it round on the pontoon, Kingsbridge. And I said, well, you could sail it round. It's a nice day. I wish I was sailing rather than paddling. She said, would you sail it round? And I said, yeah, I'd love to have a go at that. I could probably do it. I'm competent enough. But I have got my prospective son-in-law on the paddleboard looking at me and thinking, what's going on? I said, I can't. But I'll tell you what, I can put you in touch with a number of a guy that can. So we had a conversation. That she said, that's very kind of you. If you'd like to go sailing sometime, Well, yeah, thank you very much. Just met you, not sure. Yeah. You need to fix your outboard up before I'm coming on your boat. Anyway, what can I do? And there was a big fat rib coming up from Saltcombe. Yeah. And so I hailed him down. I said, do you feel like doing these guys a favour? They need a tow round to Kingsbridge. We were just in Bochum. It wasn't very far. Yeah. And he said, we'll do that. They would just drop the crew off and I'll come back. So he got them the tow. He was sorted out. She put a lovely thing on Facebook saying, will the man that came to our rescue and sorted us out, could he private message me so that... so I've ended up with a load of private messages. There's a few other connections as well, which I won't bore you with. And she said, it would be lovely if you and maybe your wife, would like to come sailing because I lost my husband a couple of years ago and I just want to sail. And I thought, that would be, I haven't got a boat on the pontoon because I never put my name down 7 years ago and there's a 7-year waiting list. Yeah. Plus the fact that I haven't got a boat or really the money to justify putting a boat there. But, God's amazing. He's put me with this, connected me to this woman who's got a lovely old classic boat. She's a competent sailor, actually. She just needs a bit of, somebody to go with her because she hasn't got a husband. So it's funny how it happens. Buddhists call it karma, don't they? Yes. I don't, because I'm not a Buddhist. I call it amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is amazing how things turn out. And my grandmother always used to say, I was so close to my grandmother, my mum's mum, and she always used to say, things happen for a reason. And she's absolutely right.
Well, there are those people that say, if a butterfly beats its wings in the Amazon, does it have any implication? I know scientists and people like that have said yes and gone into it, but I think things happen for a reason, and sometimes we can fight against it. Sometimes we have to fight against it. We don't just sit, and we're not puppets. We're not kind of like being operated by the master puppeteer in heaven. Same with AA, isn't it? You might tap into a higher being, higher authority, but you have to make the decisions yourself, and you have to make your way.
Yeah, and also acceptance is a massive part of that, because people tend to think when things aren't going their particular way, or they feel like they're, I don't know, for example, all their electrical appliances are breaking down at the same time, that they think, why me? Why me? But they don't think that when everything's going right for them. They just think this is life. This is just the normal course of things. So it's about acceptance of the good and the bad at the same time.
Yes, and we'll come to this another time because it's quite a profound subject. If there is good, there is bad. If there is wonder, there is the opposite. If there is good, there is evil. And our fight is against those kind of ethereal spiritual things.
Yeah,
we do know about God. We do know, most of us, about the devil. And sometimes I think when you're pushing out in a direction for good, you encounter this pushback, and it makes me smile, because ultimately good wins, love wins, and good wins.
Absolutely, love conquers all, as the phrase goes. And for those of you who aren't necessarily spiritual or philosophical, just see Newton's third law.
Which is that?
For every reaction, there is an equal and opposite reaction.
It's been an education today, isn't it?
Yeah.